Well, welcome everybody. My name is François Letarte. This is my channel, D30, a channel about tabletop role-playing games. So, this will be a ramble. I will put some lights here. This will be a ramble, okay? Something I had in mind. I have made a similar video in French, in case I have made that available. The video is outside the table immersion, okay? Something that I'm more aware of these times around, since I'm involved in games that are, well, in a positive way, but very demanding to me, for, well, the simple reasons that I have less time that I used to when I was younger. And suddenly I'm aware of that phenomenon more. Outside of the table immersion. During the game, usually game masters and players alike, hopefully, are working towards some sort of immersion. Yeah, well, there's many definitions of immersion, and I won't come with one right now, but just, when you're in it, okay? You're in the game, you are sharing something intense, you are in it, okay? And that might look like immersion to many, okay? But that's the, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours, maybe longer of the game. And there's that outside of the table immersion, and that's something that is very present in my case, especially when I'm a GM. Well, when I'm a player, I can get into some sort of outside of the table immersion. It's like playing the game when you're not playing it, okay? It's like getting into it even if you're not with the others and playing with it. Every time especially as a GM, every time that I get into the preparation of a game, or, getting ready to do it, I need that immersion. Okay, I need that immersion, because when I'll make the game for real, I want it, to get into it right now. I don't want to take as many detours, The less detours, the best it is, okay? I want to be in the game right now. I want to share. I want to have the right words to describe the right thing, to make justice to the setting and, the world the game is going to take part of. But it's all part of a preparation that often, may be a long time before. When I into a setting, let's talk about a setting, I really like to get all the information that I can get. Well, mostly the most useful ones are the most welcome. But I'd like to have the most information that I can get, and it's not only game related informations, but that can be informations about other stuff that is related. And maybe we talk about All for One, Régime Diabolique, well, it's 17th century France. So, well, I read a lot about that period of time. I want to know many things: how they were making bread, how they would, what is the costume, how the people are dressed, stuff like that. Okay, I'm really looking towards stuff like that. And for me, it's a tool for my out of the table immersion. I get immersed into the world of that. I've listened to the audiobook of The Three Musketeers lately. It really got me into it. I rewatched movies. Okay, that's outside of the table immersions, really getting into it. And it's very, in my case, it's very, very intense when I'm into it. I can relate everything of my life with the setting I'm working on. A long time ago, in a galaxy that is our own, I used to play Star Wars a lot. But this was a time when I had lots of free time. So, that kind of outside of the table immersion wasn't really bothering me in my real life. I was able to function normally with my responsibilities that I had, and be really immersed into Star Wars. I was watching the movies often. I was reading lots of comics and novels, Star Wars related novels. I was playing Star Wars role-playing games. Of course, I was reading the role-playing game books. I was always into the website starwars.com that has some sort of an encyclopedia. Okay? And I had lots of practice. Yeah. And I'm pretty much rewarded by that these times around, because I've played so much of Star Wars. I had so much of those outside of the table immersion moments that the Star Wars universe comes naturally to me. Even though I don't have the exact information about something, when I'm into a Star Wars game, I can find easily ways to describe what is going on and make it feel Star Wars. Okay, just a small example. Last week I've been running Star Wars for a group of 9 through 12-year-old kids at the library, like I do once in a while. And it was Star Wars, okay, a version of a game called Tranchons et Dragons, which I talk about a little on my channel. But with Star Wars, okay? And I had something prepared, just the big lines. And the game just didn't go the way it was intended to, but it didn't matter, since Star Wars is so natural for me that I was able to go in any direction. Okay, just to give you an example, in one of the scenes there was that space battle, and by the end of that space battle, the Star Destroyer of Darth Vader comes out of the hyperspace. It was some sort of a warning. There was no, there was no confrontation with Darth Vader planned. Okay, but at the same time, they didn't know that it was a Star Destroyer. It was just a hint of something that would come a little later, telling them that it was his Star Destroyer, and just gave them the shiver of that shiver of, oh, he was at the space battle and all that. But one of the player, well, it was the girl player, was one in a Y-wing fighter, and she said, well, I want to get into the Star Destroyer, and she had a plan, okay, and okay, she said, I want to crash into the hangar under the Star Destroyer and maybe take the ejection seat at the right time, just to make them believe that I just crashed, but at the same time I'm in the hangar and I want to enter the Star Destroyer. And I was letting her go with that. It was a crazy idea, even though if it wasn't Darth Vader's Star Destroyer, it was just a crazy idea. So much fun. And she was able to dress herself as a stormtrooper, and she got to the main, the main cockpit, the main, the word is losing me, but you know what I mean, the main place where the ship is, you run the ship. And she came face to face with Darth Vader, trying to fool him, and yeah, fortunately was seeking for some rebels, so he held her captive, but it wasn't all planned at all. But it just felt Star Wars. My outside of the table immersion practice that I had for so many years just served me right. It felt all Star Wars from the start to the end. It was so much more exciting. When I get into something that needs me more work, like All for One, because I want to get that feel, 17th century France feel to it. It takes a lot of work. Yeah, Star Wars back then I had time to work on that. Now I have full responsibilities, real life stuff, and it's hard. It takes lots of time. Every time I'm working on the stuff, let's say All for One, I really get into it. My mind just go away, like if I was playing the game. It's very, but I need that. I need to be ready. I need to show my fellow players that I'm into it, and I want to share that with them. I want to show my love of the stuff. but wow, it takes me lots of energy. I'm able to do it, but and what is what is so taxing is that I know that every time I get into it, I don't have that much time to put into that. Let's say I have half an hour to work on my stuff, so it's a very intense half an hour, and I have to be efficient into that half hour. So I'm working double shifts, and frankly I just can't help it, because I know what I want to reach, I know what I want to hit. Very taxing, but at the same time it's so much fun. But yeah, it's not as easy as it used to, I must admit. But okay, if you look at the last session that I've made as a game master, it was the second time I was running Ubiquity. It was the solo session for Anthony. I had a feeling that I had it right, okay? I had the feeling that what I wanted to bring at that table was right. At least it was satisfying for me, okay? What the feeling and the ambience of the 17th century, and the intrigue and all that, okay? So it paid off, but it was that out of the table immersion was hard to get because of the reasons that I told you. And not only that, okay, this week I will run, by the making of this video, this weekend I will run something with the RPGS super setting, okay? My project that I have started quite a while, and it's been on a hiatus for a year, more than a year. Last time I played into RPGS, it was at Brigade Con last year, and now I'm getting back into it, and we'll try to keep the pace because I want to get through this project as I promised. It's a promise more to myself, but I want to do it. And yeah, it's me unplugging from All for One and 17th Century and getting into something else completely. Well, RPGS, okay, the kingdom that will be used this weekend is Quilven, and if you have read RPGS, you can look into the book. Quilven is only 2 pages. Okay, so getting into the setting itself, it's not the problem. But at the same time, I have to get into it. I have to make those 2 pages alive. Okay, the elements that I will take from that must feel real. So yeah, I have some outside of the table immersion. And another thing that I haven't mentioned, it's not only with the setting, but it's with the rules themselves. Now let's talk about RPGS. I will run Warp, the same game system used in the Over the Edge role-playing game. And I really have to get into that because I had to make sure that the game systems will translate correctly the setting. It has to give justice to the setting, and that's another type of outside of the table immersion, because I'm getting into the rules. It's like the numbers has to mean something. I have to understand the rules, and yeah, that is another type of immersion that takes time. And with limited time that I have, well, it's very taxing because every time I have to look up at the rules and all that, prepare my stuff, make cheat sheets, because I don't want to stop the game to look at the rule book. Though I know that it will happen. We can't help it. Sometimes we have to do it anyway during the game, but it has to flow because I want, when the game will start, I want that immersion. I want to be into it, and I want to be into it so much that I can communicate that to the players. If they haven't been into their outside of the table immersion state as I did, I have to be able to communicate well enough to get them into it as fast as possible and try to communicate that. It was the same for Ubiquity. I have to really get into the rules and trying to make a good interpretation of it. And my outside of the table immersion meant that I read the rules. I've bought myself the French rule book of All for One to read it in French, well, some portions of it, because I really wanted to make sure that I understood everything. Watching videos, well, especially Runeslinger's video about ubiquity, trying to get into something, and then getting it to make the rules right with the setting. And this weekend I will make RPGS, the 5th session in French. Next week I will run All for One once again, so I will have to unplug from RPGS and get back into 17th century full with the little time that I have, trying to prepare an adventure. Oh man, that outside of the table immersion is that, and in my part it's really needed, because if I don't do that kind of homework, it's like the ball will roll with difficulty when the game will begin, and I don't want to do that. Okay, I don't want to be there. And you know, I want that kind of preparation with the limited time that I have. Also, is that I don't have that 1 hour pre-game meditation that I used to have. You set up the table, you know that your players will arrive in 1 hour, and you'd sit down rereading your stuff. I don't have that time. It's not there anymore. Often when I sit at the table, it's time to play now. I don't have that before. I have the 5 minutes to set up my sheets, in a hurry, not to start the game too late, and then bang, we start. So that homework has to be made. I don't know if it makes sense to you, that video, and I don't know how you get into that state of mind in between games, but it's very intense in my case. Every time I get into it, it's very taxing, like I said, these times around, because the real life just don't give me the right amount of time to let myself go every time that I want. I have to be very, very careful with the time and how I use it when it comes to that. And I have to unplug every time to get into real life, okay? Yeah. That's crazy like that. And it's crazy enough for me, just to tell you that, for these times around, that I even don't know if I would be able to hold a whole campaign like that. I think I will be exhausted. I wish I had a campaign as a GM, but yeah, the time don't permits me that. Nevertheless, I want to it was just something I wanted to share with you. If you have any comments, video response to make to me, feel free to do them. Yeah. So, François Letarte, JDR D30, and up to next time, I hope you have as much fun in your life as in your games. Goodbye.